Kevin Durant is officially trapped in Phoenix, and the worst part is that he wanted this. It's safe to say that big threes don't work anymore. At least not with three guys costing your team $150 million, and they each have exactly the same role. In this series, the Suns had only three guys averaging double digits, and it doesn't take a genius to figure out who those players were. Meanwhile, Minnesota damn near had 7 players who averaged at least 10 points per game, and each had a specific role that they executed to perfection. Besides Anthony Edwards completely dominating and being compared to prime Michael Jordan, every single player in the starting 5 completely exceeded expectations. But coming into the playoffs, the opposite was expected. Everyone knew that the Timberwolves had the best defense in the NBA, but it was believed to be no match against the three-headed monster in KD, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. Boy, were we wrong. It's safe to say that no one will be betting on KD anymore unless it's for a major letdown. The KD drama is nothing new. Since joining the Warriors back in 2017 when he became the poster boy for if you can't beat him, join him, he has always been in the spotlight for his career decisions. Basketball ability has never been questioned, but what has been is his legacy. And at this point, no one has really anything positive to say. And each season, it's looking like his 2 finals MVPs are becoming less and less valuable to his legacy. And he only has himself to blame. When he wanted his own team, poof, go to Brooklyn. He wanted to gut Brooklyn's future for a big 3. Sure, whatever you say, KD, here's up past his prime James Harden. He's even always had a top priority when it comes to coaching. KD is the leading leader since 2014 with the most head coaching changes with 9 to his name. This has been a recurring trend with Kevin Durant-led teams, and the newest victims are the Phoenix Suns. Can't help but feel bad for them. They traded their entire future to get KD and Bradley Beal, and in return, they got a first-round exit. But it's okay. Surely they can make some tweaks and come back next season to win it all, right? Well, Matt Ishbia, the owner of the Phoenix Suns, would sure love everyone to believe that. So what can the Phoenix Suns do to come back stronger next season?
The narrative around the house is burning, it's incorrect. The Phoenix Suns are doing great. Excellent. Not as good as we want to be, and not as good as we're going to do next year, and that's what we're going to figure out. What do we got to tweak, modify, adjust to win a championship next year?
The answer is absolutely nothing. The Suns are completely and utterly f***ed. They have officially dug themselves in a hole that they cannot come out of winning. And I'll explain in just a second. But let's say they could make some changes. What would they be? Well, they definitely need some competent big men to secure offensive rebounds, which is one of the things that helped Minnesota sweep them. Okay, what else? How about a true point guard that can be the floor general to their big 3? And while you're at it, throw in some 3-and-D defensive wings that are essential to any modern contending team. If the Suns did all that, I would bet my life savings and my left nut that they could win the NBA championship next season. But fortunately for me, the Phoenix Suns are a second apron team, so I can keep my life savings and my left nut. But unfortunately for them, they are completely out of options. In case you didn't know what being an apron team entails, it essentially means that they cannot aggregate players for trades. Or in simpler terms, they're f***ed. Thanks to the new CBA rules that kick in this offseasons, the Suns literally can't sign a biannual contract, sign mid-level contracts, or aggregate trades. The only moves that they could possibly do to improve are completely impossible. The only thing they can do is either sign minimum contract players, which, let's be honest, that doesn't win you championships, or draft a player, which could be a great idea if they had any picks at all. It sounds like they had a way better chance to win a championship without KD, when the Suns had an unreliable but true point guard in Chris Paul, a mid-ass center in DeAndre Ayton, and a shitload of 3-and-D wings. What I'm trying to say is that what the Suns need right now is essentially their 2021 roster plus KD and Bradley Beal to win a championship, which is completely impossible. Regardless of everything that I just mentioned, there is a new rumor among us. A KD trade. What a surprise. Said by a very reputable and reliable source, ex-football player Chad Ochocinco, who now lives and breathes Miami culture, sat down in a podcast with none other than Shannon Sharpe, and blatantly said that KD gave him permission to get on the show and speak on his behalf.
What makes you think he want to go to Miami now?
Because I talked to him. I talked to KD.
Which led him to say that KD would be interested in playing for the Miami Heat, only if it made sense. What followed was a slew of mock trades and Heat fans begging Pat Riley to pull the trigger. Especially with all the drama about Pat Riley and Jimmy Butler, when Jimmy Buckets had a lot to say about the Miami Heat missing their leader in this year's playoffs, which made Pat Riley respond in such a Godfather way. We started hearing about trade packages involving Tyler Herro or Jaime Jaquez Jr. or just a one-on-one swap for Jimmy Butler and Kevin Durant. But KD's interest in Miami is nothing new. Every time he has requested a trade, he was always linked to the Miami Heat. Back in 2017, he chose not to, mainly because LeBron had just left and he didn't want to follow in his footsteps. But I've said it once and I'll say it again, the Phoenix Suns are a second apron team, meaning that they can only deal KD for a player with the same contract in a one-to-one trade. The only possible move that they can make is trade Jimmy Butler, who is going to make $47 million, for KD, whose current contract is at $49 million. Even then, it's not a complete match, so it makes it almost impossible. So this pipe dream of KD, Jimmy, and Bam is literally impossible to achieve. And even if it were, that would bring so many spacing issues due to all three players tending to always shoot from the mid-range. Not to mention that the Miami Heat are a first apron team. They aren't as limited as the Suns, but they still don't have as much flexibility as one might think. Kevin Durant has been the golden boy of the NBA for years now, always getting everything that he wants. And you can't blame him. The dude's a stud on the court. The only player with more power than KD is LeBron, who we will talk about in another video. But time after time, teams gut their entire roster just to make KD happy, and it literally never resulted in a ring, let alone a deep playoff run. In the last 4 years, KD has missed the playoffs in 2020, lost in the second round in 2021, got swept in the first round in 2022, lost yet again in the second round in 2023, and got swept this year in 2024. Does that sound like a player that's worth gutting your team for? Absolutely not. Pair that with his lack of loyalty and integrity, and you'd be crazy to trade for KD unless it made perfect sense. In my opinion, if KD never left the Thunder, we would be having a completely different conversation about his legacy. He went from the player people rooted for to a snake seemingly overnight back in 2017. And he has yet to win another championship, and it sure as hell looks like Phoenix, even with all the star power, gives him the least chance to win the championship next year. But what do you think? Does KD deserve this? Or is there something I missed in this video that allows KD to leave? Because by the looks of it, this time he's out of options. Check out my video on Zaire Wade, another player who is completely out of options, and subscribe to my channel for weekly basketball videos.